John, why don't you take us through an example of what a typical CBTS and Palo deployment looks like?
Yeah, so there is no such thing as necessarily a typical, but I want to talk about with the team here today how CBTS can help you through any part of the journey. And so traditionally in the past, we always started with the applications, right? And we still do, but those used to live in a data center. So we would have our virtualized servers, we'd have a bunch of applications, and the whole goal was our employees would sit in the branches and they would connect back to these applications, right? Whatever your apps were. We wanted to obviously secure those, right? And so we would put a great big HA pair of Palo Alto firewalls in our data center, and those would connect out to the internet. And you might have some core routers sitting behind this, and maybe you landed some traffic that wasn't even tied to the internet, right? Back in the old MPLS days. So you're going to run into less and less of that. But the whole goal is I still need to connect back here to the data center. And so when MPLS went away, we came from our branches and we said, okay, as an employee sitting here, I also have internet. How do I start to reliably connect my branch to the applications that live here? And this is where we put in SD-WAN. So you may have a customer that comes to you and says, I want to start to, whether it's displace IPsec or VPN tunnels, internet as transport is not reliable on its own. Maybe they are a legacy infrastructure like MPLS that they're looking to move to. Maybe it's multiple internet as transport or LTE as a backup. And so we can say, let's put in a Palo Alto Ion. Let's drop an Ion in our branch, build auto VPN tunnels back here to my data center where these routers, these can become Ions as well. So now I have SD-WAN from Palo Alto living in my data center with the sole purpose of connecting my employees at the branch back to the applications that live in the data center. Simple enough. But when we talked about this land here in the middle, right, what we would consider the Wild West of internet as transport, we don't know how these applications are performing. And so these apps that might sit back here could be voice, you could have databases, you could have all kinds of x86 applications that help you run your business the day in and day out. And when that's performing poorly, my branch employee, all they know is it's not working. They don't understand jitter and latency, and they don't understand application dependency. And so you get that dreaded phone call as the IT professional. It's not working. It's slow. And so we'll talk to your customers about layering in ADEM, the Autonomous Digital Experience Management from Palo Alto. And so we're going to be measuring across this SD-WAN environment how your mission critical business applications are performing, where they're starting to hit failure points. Is it within your control and within your network? Is it on the branch side? Is it the data center side? Is it somewhere in the internet? And so we've built this really great experience where we say, if you have things that need to come into the internet, we're going to secure this still with a legacy Palo Alto next gen firewall that we really bread and butter, right? Mm-hmm. It's what we're used to. We're then going to add in and layer Ion SD-WAN to connect us to our branches. We're going to use ADEM to make sure everything's performing perfectly. The world has solved, Palo solved world hunger, right? Except a lot of these applications no longer live in this data center. And so we've got a whole new challenge and we've got a whole new problem. We need to go and solve for SaaS applications. This could be Microsoft 365. This could be a hosted voice platform, UCaaS, right? You name it. We can continue on and on. Salesforce.com, Workday. And all of a sudden, I've got a challenge where this SD-WAN's coming back to the data center. There's nothing there anymore, right? And so that's where we want to come and change the perception of bringing everything back here. One of the applications that sits in the data center, we don't talk about it enough as an application, but it's security, right? And so even as we saw organizations move to the idea of MPLS, or away from MPLS into SD-WAN, they'd still come back to the data center just to go out to the internet. So even if I was trying to go to Microsoft 365, I'd have to come all the way back to my data center just to go out to the cloud. That's a very poor experience. Also, what happened over COVID? How many people still sit behind this, right? And that number's changing every day, but I've got a whole new problem where I need to protect this idea of a work from home or maybe a mobile environment.
Hybrid worker.
The hybrid workplace, right? Buzzword. Enter what protects us from bad guys who go into SaaS? SASE, right? And so the extension of SD-WAN is no longer connecting you back to the data center. It's connecting you to the secure access, right? The secure service edge. Inside of this SASE platform, Palo Alto Prisma, we can deliver all kinds of services. So some of the services that we're going to deliver would be a firewall. Step one, firewall as a service. I no longer need to come back here to my data center to hit the head end Palo Altos to get my security policy. Zero trust network access. What about these devices that are working from home or from Starbucks or from their AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, LTE tower? How do we make sure that we're delivering great security there? What about remote browser isolation? This is another part of the security tool to help my users when they're going out to the wild, wild west of the internet to make sure that we're not executing files there. We're going to deliver enterprise data loss prevention, cloud access, security brokerage. Am I missing anything here, Skyler? Am I hitting all the big ones that we're going to deliver?
Pretty much all of them, yeah.
What about...
And all through one platform, too.
All through one platform. But also, what about not just ZTNA, what about our global protect? Just because I'm working from home, and just because a lot of my applications have moved to SASE or to SaaS, doesn't mean everything has. And I still might need routing. I might still need reachability into my data center for certain applications that haven't moved out to the cloud or haven't moved to SaaS, I should say. Maybe they do live in the cloud, but I still need reachability back to it. So now we've got this great experience where I can go to my SaaS application from a branch, from home, from the road, and I can do that securely, and we're good. Palo's helped deliver that. But if I am in the branch and I need to reach applications, I can have this great experience with SD-WAN that's prioritizing my traffic and my applications. However, maybe I'm starting to put some edge compute resources here. Maybe I'm starting to run some services here at the branch. Maybe I want to micro-segment my network. Maybe behind at this site, I've also got workers that are in different environments. Maybe I've got a OT network, not an IT network only, right?
Yep.
And so more and more, we've started to see customers say, I have a lot of different functions from my branch. My SD-WAN is great for connecting my employees to my applications over the internet in a reliable way. ADEM really helps me understand and digest what's going on in my network. Prisma SASE helps keep me safe wherever I'm at, coming from the branch or from home or the road, especially when I'm going to cloud-based applications. But I actually still need a firewall posture at my branches. Maybe it's things like east-west. You may have a need for users to cross the environment, cross VLANs, cross segments. We still want to see that traffic. We want to log that traffic. I need a firewall there. Maybe I have inbound traffic. I'm hosting servers here. Very common use case here is HVAC, right? I want to have a public IP coming in so I can monitor how my HVAC is performing at facilities from a centralized point, or alarm systems, these sorts of things. So branch security is still prevalent. I still have my data center security because I'm hosting a lot of public applications there. I've got this cloud security. Let's talk further about this computer. This is where we move into the world of how do I protect not just the application, but how do I start to protect the user and the device? I have a feeling through flight, we talked a lot about device ID, app ID, user ID, right? The whole ZTNA framework, SASE 3.0, all the things that Palo does very, very well. So the first we want to start talking about is XDR, right? We'll talk about the Cortex platform. We want to go and have a conversation with our customers around not just protecting the app, but understanding, running the agent on these PCs to understand what are my risks, what's the anomalies, right? I want to have endpoint detection and response. So what is the X, right? So trivia question, X for extended.
Yep.
I have the ability with Cortex and the data lake, so XDR is part of this. I've got a data lake that's part of this. And inside of this great big data lake, we'll draw it over here. I'm collecting data from firewalls, from SASE, from the end agent, from SD-WAN and branches. And I'm starting to stitch together everything that's happening in this world. I'm putting and correlating the entire life of that packet to understand from a security incident, from a security event. Also, we want to feed into, right? CBTS provides a security operations center built on Cortex and XIM. We want to be able to help your customers ingest logs that aren't just Palo Alto, right? Maybe I have other things running in the environment. Maybe I want logs from my switches. Does Palo Alto make switches? No. I was going to say, I don't think they do, right? We want to ingest that data as well. And so CBTS, when you pair a Cortex data lake with the Cortex XDR and XIM, and you pair that with CBTS, this whole environment becomes CBTS's security operations center, 24/7, eyes on glass, looking at alarms, helping understand what's an actionable event, what's an alarm, what's an incident, helping to make heads and tails of this entire environment. Once we alert on this, right, it's one thing to say, we've noticed this is an anomaly, we've stitched together all of this data. We then partner with Unit 42 from Palo Alto for our incident response. And so when CBTS gets involved with Palo Alto and with our customers, we have the ability to help secure their data center by selling, deploying through one-time professional services, as well as management, head-end data center Palo Alto firewalls. We have the ability to sell, install, and manage Palo Alto SD-WAN ions at branches and data centers. We have the ability to help configure, sell, implement, and manage the Palo Alto Prisma SASE platform. We have the ability to sell, implement, and manage Cortex from an XDR standpoint, Cortex from a data lake standpoint, Cortex XIM feeding into CBTS's 24/7 manned SOC for correlation of events, and then swivel back when somebody does need to be deployed for forensics on site. Incident response, we're partnering with Unit 42 to go out on site and do all of that work for us. The benefit of CBTS is being able to help your customer wherever they're at. You talk about platformization at Palo Alto. We take that same approach. Their business challenge or business need might be SD-WAN to improve their routing environment. We can help and continue to expand that conversation into the computers that are sitting behind this SD-WAN. How are you securing that, right? And then the last piece, when workloads do leave this data center, I mentioned SaaS, that was one part of it, but what about Azure or AWS? Customers are reforming, they're refactoring applications, and they're moving them to the data center. How do we keep that secure, right? We can get into, again, the Prisma line. We can talk about wrapping around with this, with Cloud Blades, helping organizations secure their workloads as they move to the cloud. A unique benefit is CBTS actually has application services. So when a customer says, we'd love to go to the cloud and we'd love to secure it, but we don't even know how to get there, we can come in and help do those sorts of assessments, reform, refactor, rehome, replatform, all of those things. And I'll end you with this. Skyler, who do you think CBTS's best customer is when we need to deliver a reference around consuming platformization from Palo Alto?
I'll take an educated guess and say your own.
That's right, CBTS. We are our own customer. I would say we are our best customer because we obviously can react very quickly to our own needs, but we deliver that same level of customer service out to our end customers. Reach out, let us be another tool in your toolkit.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Skyler, thank you.
Appreciate it.